I've lost 180 pounds with a combination of carnivore, keto, and counting calories. I reached my goal in November of 2022. Right now I'm doing an experiment with being carnivore-ish and counting calories. If you want to see the results, stick around and subscribe, and we can see how it goes. Don't forget to click the like button. So, whenever I figure out what I'm going to do on the weekend, I always put like a little not saran wrap, foil on this because I'm going to be setting this out. Some country style ribs. We're going to try that. And I've got 2 New York strip steaks, and we're going to set them off to the side. And I'm going to get the camera holder. Hang on. So because I shop those yellow stickers things, I have a lot of options. I also have another freezer over here, and we don't need in there because I got the steaks from over there, and I just set them in here for a minute. These, I know what this is. This is, oh, yeah. This is some 93% frozen with the stickers from June of 2024. So I got one of those in here. Got another one of those in here. These are a bunch of broths, and this is why I was telling y'all sometimes I don't need to make broth, so I toss it out. I've got tallow. Is that a crack in the jar? No, that's just, I can't tell. No, it's not. It's just the writing. Anyway, so I've got tallow in here. I bought a thing of lard one time. So I couldn't use it all, so I got that down there. I got beef broth and some hot dogs. Sometimes I go and like I said, y'all know I'm a yellow sticker hoarder. So this is, what's this? Ooh, extra lean. This is 96% ground beef. I ain't pulling it out. Then I got some of these right here, some of the burgers that I make. Some more of these 93% ground beefs in here. What else did I got? A whole bunch of these, man. I got chicken down in there. I guess at some point I decided I was going to make a bunch of chicken. Oh, I think that's when I was taking chicken at supper and beef for lunch. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull out, let's see. I'll show you. Hang on just a second. Okay, so you're not going to see me cook the steaks and then these country style ribs. That's going to be for another video. But I'm just showing you tonight's Friday night. So I'm pulling out my frozen stuff. And my sink ain't perfectly clean. But this is bloody. This is going to be bloody in the morning whenever I wake up. So I don't want to put it in a perfectly clean sink. Because then it'll mess it up whenever all this blood that's on the backside gets all in my sink like it's already starting to do. So I've got that one that's 93%. This one's 93%. These are 4.5 pound servings. And I've got 3. I did 3 of these. 3 of these, the 96%. So I've got, these are from July. So we got June and July going, y'all. But anyway, I'm just going to line my sink with them. And it's about 5:30 now. I might wake up in the middle of the night, and if they're ready to go, I might set them on something and pop them in the freezer. But anyway, so this is how I do it when I'm going to do ground meat. If I do ground chicken, so how I cook this ground beef is how I cook my ground chicken, my ground pork, anything ground, I cook it the way I'm going to cook it. So there we go. We're getting all this. Oh, that don't have a yellow sticker. Oh, Terry. Well, that was dumb. Well, anyway, but yeah. So we're going to let that defrost, and I'll see you in the morning whenever we get to cooking that. So it is 6:15 this morning, and we're going to get these in the crock pot. This is how I do it. It can be hands off. You don't have to do a whole lot. And I prefer minimal effort. And so that's what I'm doing with this ground beef. So my meal prep day, I do a lot of cooking and washing. So I like to help cleanup crew, Terry, and I buy these crock pot liners. So these are made to put in your crock pot and cook with, and then I just put these in. Hope you're doing okay. Hope you're having a good day, whatever day this is for you. I accidentally had this one already on, so I had to turn it back off. But so now I'm going to get a pair of gloves, because I like to wear the gloves. I accidentally squirted my ground beef with water, so it's going to it's going to be drippy anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in first. No particular reason, but so I got these yellow stickers. This is the 96%. I got it for $5.73. So we saved $2.23. I'll let you math people decide how much that is. And I will say, like, I'm going to go to Walmart this morning. The yellow sticker meat 99% of the time has the blood on the bottom. I've heard people say that ain't called blood. Sorry about that. I knocked y'all over. Anyway, I don't know if it really is blood, but there is always that red, the red liquid at the bottom of the meat. And the more closer it is to expiration date, I think it's just because it's been shuffled around more. The longer it's been on the shelf, the workers have had to move it and whatnot. So it does fling and sling sometimes, so just be careful. So now I'll put, this is 93%, and I'll put that right in there. And this one over here, and there we go. Now I'll take off my gloves. Give me just a second, because I want to wipe this up. I've kind of got some of the red liquid somewhere. Okay, so now I'll go on and put the lid on them. And like I said, I'm going to put them on low. So I'll put the lid on and put them on low, and I will scoot them back. And later on, I'm going to have these moved to my table. But for right now, this is just fine. But because I got to get all my stuff in from the grocery store when I go. But now what I do, this is very key for me. I don't want it to be a big meatloaf. I swear, every time I say this, I want to try it, but I never do. So every hour, I come in and I lift the lid and I chop it up and we go. So that's it. So this usually cooks anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. I just look at it and get it to the right texture that I want. But I'll show you. So low and low. And like I said, I'm going to go to Walmart. So it might be a little longer than an hour this time. The first time, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. I've also put these in frozen when it's the smaller ones, but it's not this time. So yeah, so I'll see you in approximately 1 hour. So it's been about an hour and a half because I went to Walmart. Now I come in with my meat chopper and I just gently chop up my meat. The first time it's not easy because it's still pretty packed together. It's easier to do this when I have the leaner fatty meat, but this is mostly protein. But the point of this is to get it all broken up. So like I said, this time it's not as done, but when it is, you get these chunks like along the outer edges, and so I like to break those apart. So I know I'm in the light, I'm sorry. But I come in every hour and I do this right here and just chop it all up. So now let's do the other one, just a second. Okay, so here's the other one. Trying to get you the best angle, but anyway, so I go into it. But you want to be careful around the edges because you really do not want to tear your... Oh man, I forgot to add water to this. That's the problem. Carn flabbit, you guys. Usually, it's been a long time since I've done this. Hang on, I got to get some water. Just a second. Okay, so the reason why I add water, when it's fatty meat, it renders a whole lot of liquid, and so it doesn't stick so much. And it does, I'm watching the edges. It's not enough to go quite to the top. Usually I do this in the very beginning, and I'm upset with myself that I forgot. So I always add, for the leaner meats, I always add some water to it. Again, I forgot, but when I do chicken, I don't add much water. Like I said, I usually do enough to not quite cover it. Maybe, I don't know, right about there. You can see where the edges of it is. So it's about that much water. But again, it makes it easier for me when I come in. I'm trying to stay out of the light. Dang it. I'll stand over here. But it makes it easier when I come in and chop it up because it helps disperse any rendered fat. And I don't know. I really can't explain it. You'd have to do it to know what I'm talking about. But like I said, if I do 72% ground beef, I do not typically or always, sometimes I do, but I don't always add water. All right, see that chunk right there of cooked meat? That's what happens. Comes a big chunk of cooked meat on the outer edges. And I don't want chunks. I want it to be crumbly. So that's why I kind of try to go along the edges and gently turn my daily to kind of help pull it away from the sides. And sometimes it gets burned along the sides, which is another reason why I like to use my little, use the plastic things. So, all right, I'm going to redo this other one again now that I've got water in it. And now I'm home, so I'll set my timer for 1 hour. So every 1 hour, I come in and do this. This is what, 3 minutes of work every hour? So now I could go make steaks. I could go, I don't know, go start laundry. I could do all kinds of stuff for the next 1 hour. Also, people ask me why I use the crock pot instead of cooking it on the stovetop. Because, like I said, now I have this hour window of doing whatever I want to do. So, it's almost eating time. But, if I were keto and I wanted to make some veggies, I could do that. If I have family and we wanted to watch a movie or something, I could do that. So now I just go chill out for an hour. Okay, it's been 1 more hour, so I'm going to take the lid off and I'm going to set this down and let me show you. Now that there's liquid in there, I can really do a better job of getting into it. I like to hold this side. As it gets cooked, you're going to have more and more chunks. You're better off wearing an apron because sometimes it splashes out on you. But if I get in there, like I said, it's been a long time since I've done it this way. So I kind of have forgotten. And so as this goes, I'm like, oh yeah, I used to do this or I used to do that. And so, but the point for me is to get it away from those edges because being a crock pot, it cooks, it gets those outer edges cooked harder, faster than the center. So I'm really trying to get it pulled away from the outer edges as well as chop it up. So I'm going to get this spoon going. And you can see this big old chunk. Hopefully you can see that. That's what happens with the leaner ground meat. But when there is, if you have a fattier ground meat, it's not so chunky. So, but again, the water does kind of help evenly cook it a little bit. And so it's better whenever I add the water. I mean, it's okay that I was late. It's not like it ruins anything. If you're keto, you could add onions, you could add peppers, you could add whatever you want to this. I prefer to make my ground beef a blank slate so that I could use this for something like Southwestern. I could add some salsa and queso cheese to it. Or if I wanted it to be Mediterranean, I could add some feta cheese. And I could add some kind of Tuscan seasoning. So I prefer to keep this as a blank slate. And then that way, it kind of can do its own thing, or well, future Terri can do her own thing with it, whatever she wants to do. So that's how I do it. And again, every hour I just come in and kind of stir it up and chop it up a little bit, and so that it doesn't become one big old meatloaf. I know some people use their their Instant Pot, and that would work great. I know, but my thing is I cook in such bulk. Okay, this was 4, 8, 9, 10. This is about 10 pounds of ground beef, if not a little bit more. So I don't want to stand over a stove all day, and I don't want to do it in batches. So if I can just cook it up and do this, if I just come in and do this little 3 to 5 minute process every hour, then that's it. Or like I said, if you're, if you don't care about it being a little chunky and you like texture to your ground beef, then don't do this part and see what happens. But I have to, because I don't like it. So anyway, so there we go. So now it's much more mixed in better. And I put the lid back on it, and I will see you guys again in 1 hour. All right, it's been another hour. Let's take a look. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes it gets done in 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours. You just have to make sure that it looks like how you want it. It is still pink. I don't mind it being pink. What I mind is it when it is still gummy like raw ground beef. And this is not. So let me get my little spoon and I'll show you what I mean. So you can see that it's still pink, right? But it's not gummy down in there. So I am going to, I'm going to get this give me just a second. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. My phone is dying and I needed to go get my charger. We'll just tuck it behind. These are all dog treats. I'll tuck it back behind the dog treats. So like I was saying, I consider this done. I microwave my meat before I eat it anyway. So the next step that I do, I've got these turned off. And I'm going to pull the inside of the crock pot out and just move these out of the way. So give me just a second. This is why I say meal prep days generate a lot of dirty dishes. I have never done this before, but I decided I want to try it and see what happens. It might be a holy terror of a mistake, but I've never used the crock pot liners inside this little container. It may work, it may not, but it's always worth a shot. So I always dirty up one of these, a colander and a bowl, and then sometimes if there's more liquid, it does another bowl. So I am always dirtying up dishes. So anything I can do to help myself on meal prep day, I will happily do. So I'm going to lift up this plastic bag from there, and I'm going to put it into here. And I'm going to slowly, hopefully not too much messy, dump this. Like I said, got to do it real slow so you don't make a mess. And I am going to get all the ground beef out of this plastic container or plastic bag. Now I can toss that. Sometimes the baggies break and sometimes they do not. In a case where they do not break, now what I do is I take me a Clorox or Great Value wipey, and I just kind of wipe out the inside. There's nothing in there. It was just a little sweat. No meats in there. No juices down in there. So there were no pinholes. So now I can just wipe this one out and set it off to the side. So give me just a second. Okay, I don't know if I said it a while ago, so forgive me if I say things multiple times. I'm old, I'm forgetful. The lids I do wash because they're up against this edge, and so the steam of the meat and stuff comes in it. So I wash the lids in my dishwasher. Let's see, I'm going to set this right here for a minute. I'll set this right over there. And I'm going to pour this liquid into here. The leaner, actually no I'm not, because that's going to make a mess. I'll just set this on here for the time being. The leaner meats, the juice that it creates, it is not, it's not one you're going to get tallow from, okay? So, like, you're not going to be able to, like, let this cool down and have a big fat layer of fat. It's just going to be a little teeny tiny layer. So this, whenever I cook the leaner meats, that's typically what I use if I want to make broth, unless I want a fatty broth. So for now, this right here is really just for broth and not for making fat. But I got an idea. Hang on. Again, it's been a while since I've done this. And oftentimes, my bags are broke, so I just get to dump the meat right back into the crock pot. But this time, they've not broke, so, alright, so there we go. So now, I'm just going to set this one over here, and let's get on with this one. Let's see if this crock pot cracked, if this bag cracked or not, or got a hole in it. Yep, it did. There's juices down in there. Not sure where the hole is, but I'm going to do it fast. And hopefully this does not overflow onto my counter. We'll find out. Oh, this could be messy. This could be bad. This could be a poor decision on... Let's see. Watching to see how high the liquid goes up to. This is hotter than diddly, I know that much. Good night, Gertrude. Alright. Alright, hang on. Okay. So now, I can't stand messes. So, except I can handle a messy house. Go figure. I can't stand messes, but I don't care about a messy house. Alright. Now, I want to get that cleaned up. I just don't want to bump up against it or anything, so... Alright, once more. Let me get this again. Because your girl's just a weirdo about it. So, slowly slide that over. Alrighty. Now. So, I'm going to raise this up. Watch out, puppy dog. You know I got a dog underneath me, right? So, this one it leaked. So, I told y'all I usually have one that leaks. So I'm going to just take this and just dump it into this crock pot and be done with it. There. I could have put it back there, but since this was dirty anyway, it doesn't much matter. Alright, so dirty dish number 1 over there, and this is dirty here too. So this is what I was talking about with the lean meat. I want you to see this big old chunk right here. See that chunk? It did not get chopped up. Whenever I was chopping my meat, I did not chop this one good enough. And so it's harder to break it up once it is cooked versus when it is more on the raw side. So I'm going to kind of chop into this a little bit more. And then I'll show you what we're going to do. First off with this, with the broth, I don't personally need broth. So, but if you do, for heaven's sake, save it and use it in any way you want to. I've got about 5 things of beef broth over there, and they're in my freezer, and I do not need any more. So I'm not doing that. Instead, what I do is I carry this outside and dump it out in the yard. I know, that's sacrilegious, but it's what I do. So, all right, I'll come back. What I have to do is let this all cool down before I can portion it out. So I'm going to go into my tracker app, and I'm going to see how much calories 3 of the 85% burgers, how much calories that was, and then get the same amount of calories for 93% ground beef. So once I get that together, then we'll know how big our portions are. In the meantime, I'm taking this outside to dump it. Don't be mad at me. Don't fuss at me. So something else I wanted to tell you guys, I put my ground beef in Ziploc bags. I used to use containers, but you all showed, that's why I love my comment section, man. You guys teach me so stinking much. But you all taught me that Ziploc bags takes up a whole lot less space if I freeze things flat. But this is not cooled off enough for me to put them in Ziploc bags because it's still hot. If I can touch them and it's not, if I could do this and it's not even warm, that's whenever I start like packaging it in Ziploc bags. So I'm just trying to make sure I got it all broke up. But as my fingers go in deeper, it's pretty doggone hot. So we are just going to set a timer for about 10 minutes. I'm going to clean out my sink and load up the dishwasher and just kind of piddle around. But I need these to cool off before we start the next process. I've already taken the broth and dumped it out, and that's why I always have brown spots in my front yard, just so you know. But I've already bleach wiped out the little thing, and now I'm just going to let this cool and I'll be back. I got the dishwasher going, and while I'm setting these up, guys, you're going to get a lecture. If you want to be successful, in the beginning, you can go by a recipe. You can go by whatever TV or internet person is doing, whoever you want to model your eating after. I don't care if you're vegetarian, vegan, carnivore, ketovore, counting calories, fruitarian, whatever you are, whatever method you are using to become healthier, you have to put in the work to learn for yourself. What I just did, you have to know how to do things. Now, again, in the beginning, I get it. It's a lot to try to figure out. So following somebody like Dr. Ken Berry, just eat the meat, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to track nothing. No, not if you're a 40-something-year-old man who goes outside and works in the field all day. No, you're not going to have to track stuff. But if you're a 52-year-old lady who weighs 340 pounds and you have a sit-down job, I'm sorry, Dr. Berry, that your method does not work for everyone, and that is okay. You know, so start off. You can start off following anybody's method that gets you the result. As long as you're getting results, you follow whatever method you want. But at some point, you're going to come to a stall. I promise you that. I was following Kelly Hogan's plan for 22 months. I ate just what she did, and after 22 months, I had lost 61 pounds with her, and I had lost like 20 some odd pounds in the very beginning with keto. So, you know, I had to, after 90 pounds, what, 6, 7, 8, 9, no, 6, 7, 8. After 80 some odd pounds, I hit a stall, and that stall was 7 months, you guys. So I had to figure out for myself what my body needed to get back to losing weight. And for me, that became counting calories. So you're going to have to figure out your own method, but you're going to have to figure it out for yourself, or else you're not going to be able to maintain. So this is what I did. 3 85% ground beef burgers is 75 calories, 63 protein, 0 carbs, and 51 fat. Since I'm counting calories, I wanted the meats to be similar. Now this is 93%, so it's going to take a larger portion to match those calories. So in reality, it is 16 ounces of 93% and is 688 calories, 94.9 protein, 0 carbs, and 31 fat. So I'm losing the fat, but gaining the protein. So 16 ounces is what equals. So those 3 burgers, they were 4, 8, 12 ounces of burgers. And this is 16 ounces of burgers. So I also know that this count is for 16 ounces before cooked. So do with that what you will. So I'm going to go on and do about 15 ounces to maybe save me a little space. One of my kind follower, Lori and her daughter, Leah, they sent me these little stands that you can put your stuff in. This is going to be too big. I have some different bags than I usually use, and that's going to be too big. So, this is whenever a spaghetti spoon can come in handy. So you're going to zero it out, put it on whatever units I want. So slide it on over and just start putting it in. That's 3.6 ounces. 6 ounces. Guys, we're not going to get very many of these. I can tell you that much. We'll be lucky if we get 6. That's 9 ounces. 10 ounces. So like I said, I'm going to do about 15 ounces and see how many that makes. Just a little more. Alright, so close enough. So now, I'm not going to close it. It's still steaming just a little bit. So I'm just going to set it back here out of the way. And I'm going to get the rest of these done. And I will be back whenever I've got them all done. Okay, so when I get them all bagged up, I go on and like this one, I already wrote on it. And I flatten it out. And then it's going to go in the freezer like this. So I get as much air out as possible. Flatten it out as much as possible. And I'm putting 93%. I'm writing 16 ounces. Now guys, I'm putting 16 ounces on there. That's to help eating day, Terri, okay? Please know, I don't want to pull the wool over your eyes. I don't want anybody to think that I'm messing with you all. This actually is a mixture of 96 and 93%, but it's just a little bit of the 96%. But also, oh, I had one that was 9 ounces. But also, hang on here. And actually, I'm going to make that. But also, I am putting these as 16 ounces, but it is truly just 12 ounces of cooked meat. So, I'm doing that so that way, you know, when eating day Terri, goes to plug this in, she will plug in 16 ounces of 93%. Again, is it 16 ounces? No, it is 12 ounces. But, again, that's their cooked weight. And that's their raw weight. And I didn't, I don't have any of that fat that we washed out of it or lost from it. So 93% and 16. Now, what I could have done was weighed the amount of water I put in, weighed the amount of everything after it was done cooked, and then divided that up. That would be a much more technical way. But y'all know I ain't got time for that kind of technical. I'm doing this, and this is good enough for Terri. This is good enough for Terri Toodaloo. If you want to get more intense, you go right ahead. But you have to have somewhere to start. So if I use these and notice my weight was creeping up, then I'd be like, okay, well, we better back this down a little bit. And we need to use less. Or if I notice my weight's going down too much, then I know that, then I'll be like, okay, well, let's go on and switch over to a different kind or do something different. But if you don't keep track of what you're doing, you're not going to know. And I am all about the data, you guys. All about the data. So, that whatever that was, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 ounces of ground beef. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 packages of meat. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days worth of food. 5.5 days worth of food. So that's what this is right here. So that's why you want the yellow sticker stuff. So that way when you're cooking it. And now I'm going to freeze these in this flat. So then whenever they're frozen, I can stand them up this way. They're going to be able to, I've got a little container in my freezer. And I'll just line them up this way. And then I can pull out a couple. I store mine because I know people don't follow me. Might be watching this video. I store mine in the freezer. And I keep a 4-day rotation. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and then I keep, well, let's just do it. this is what I do. So Saturday, I pull out today's ground. This is what, I pull this out of the freezer. No, I pull this out of the refrigerator. This has all been in the refrigerator. I pull out today's meat. Then I take 2 to 1, 3 to 2, 4 to 3, and pull 2 out of the freezer. So by the time this one, it's time to eat this one, that has been defrosting for 4 days. So again, take it out, shift them around in the refrigerator, pull 2 new ones out of the freezer, and pop them in the refrigerator. And just keep that same rotation going. Pull 2 out of the freezer and pop them in the refrigerator. So that is how I have 4 days defrosting at all times. So by the time this one comes around, it's ready for me to eat. So that is my method for how I do this and how I track and how I keep on track. So, all right. Well, if you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll see if I can help you out. But this is what I do when I do ground meat. So, okay, bye.